Brings us to the next type of the connective tissue, which is the skeletal connective tissue. According to the NCERT, is the specialized tissue which has cartilage and bone. So skeletal tissue, skeletal connective tissue is a supporting tissue which forms the endoskeleton in the case of the vertebrates. Human body also has the endoskeleton made up of bones maximum, but certain amount of cartilage is also present. So let's start with the first one. That is the cartilage. Cartilage is also called as the gristle. It is solid in nature, but it is semi-rigid. So we all know that the nose tip, the tip of our nose is quite rigid in its shape. But when we try to touch it and press it, we'll find it is still some amount of flexibility is still there. But the moment you stop putting pressure to the nose tip, you will find the shape will again become same. So you can easily understand from this that bones are completely rigid, but cartilage is semi-rigid. Bones are not flexible, but cartilage is flexible. But both of them are tough in nature. So this matrix, it is solid, semi-rigid, tough, but flexible type of supportive connective tissue, and its matrix is called as the chondrin. Now the chondrin is basically made up of a great deal of water. Some lipids are also there, proteoglycans are also there. Remember proteoglycan, it's the protein and the polysaccharides when involved in a certain degree, certain bond formation give rise to proteoglycans. Then we have the collagen and other proteins. So all these things join together to form the chondrin. This means that we are basically talking about the organic portion of the cartilage. So organic portion of the cartilage is called as the chondrin, and these are the components of it. Now we need to remember that cartilage is supportive in nature. It provides stability to the body, and it easily resists compression also. For example, I just mentioned in a minute before that if you try to change the shape of your nose, it is impossible by pressing it here and there, because the moment you release the pressure, it will again become same in its shape and size, so it resists compression. And then cartilage also prevent wear and tear of bones. Now we all know wherever there are joints in our body, joints are those places where the two different bones ends are going to meet each other. So as they meet each other, they may cause friction, and because of continuous rubbing, because joints are continuously helping in the motion, when human body moves, joints will have these bones rubbing each other. So this rubbing can cause wear and tear. So how to prevent that? There is a layer of cartilage present at the end of the long bones. So what are long bones? Like the thigh bone, the upper arm bone, all these bones which are present in your limbs, the long bones are called as the long bone. And all these long bones are they always have their ends covered with a cartilage for protection against wear and tear. So cartilage prevents wear and tear of the bones due to friction by soothing effect at the joints. That's why joints are able to continue to function for a long time. It's something like a lubrication going on. The next thing we need to understand is that the cartilage has a perichondrial growth. Now what is perichondrial growth? That the growth starts from the outside, and because there is addition of growth going on, it is also called as the appositional growth. In the beginning of the session, I told you there are various types of growths which will be coming in your syllabus. So this is one of the growth. Then if you remember in the cell wall topic, I told you sometimes layers are formed, and sometimes to the same layer more addition is done. So that same type of concept is going on here. When there is addition of more cartilage cells to the same existing one from the outside towards the inside, I'll be explaining this diagram, then it is called as appositional growth. So addition to the same material is going on. And then there is an interstitial growth also. That means the growth which is from the inside itself. Now let's understand this diagram. If a section of cartilage is cut and it is studied in detail, then what we would be able to see is cartilage has a outermost layer of perichondrium. Now what is perichondrium? In the last class also I covered this topic, perichondrium, if you remember. Same way in the bones also you will have periosteum. So perichondrium is the outermost layer of white, dense, fibrous connective tissue, or you can call it as the sheath because it is irregular in arrangement. So a sheath layer is present towards the outer surface of the cartilage, and that layer is called as perichondrium. So this outer fibrous sheath is there, and just inner to this fibrous sheath we have the fibroblasts. Now what are fibroblasts? Fibroblasts are those cells which synthesize the fiber. Remember, fibrocytes are also there. Now what exactly are fibroblasts? Let's understand. These are the cells which develop into the chondroblasts. Now the fibroblasts are those cells which are supposed to give rise to fiber, and then these cells will modify to turn into chondroblasts. Now chondro word stands for cartilage. So these cells are now modified into something which will give rise to the cartilage formation, and finally the chondroblast will modify and change into a chondrocytes. Now what is the function of the chondrocyte? Chondrocyte, I have already written everything in notes here. Chondrocytes secrete matrix around themselves. So now here two things are there. First thing is the growth is occurring from outside to inside. That's why it is called as exogenous growth. And the second growth is that this cell, which is called as chondrocyte, is going to secrete content around itself. That's why it is called as the endogenous growth. Now next thing, this cell will develop a cavity around itself. That cavity is called as lacuna. And then inside this lacuna, this chondrocyte is going to divide to form more than one cell inside each lacuna. So each cavity will have, in the beginning it is just one cell which divides to give rise to 2 cell, 3 cell, 4 cell, etc. So this growth is called as the endogenous growth.